What's
it's
good?
your boy, JBB the Professor, my partner in crime,
Ricardo Love.
Rick the Ruler, Ricardo Love. How you doing? How you doing, brother, man?
I'm doing very good. Happy New Year, We That family. So good to see all of you.
Happy New Year to all of you guys. How are you doing?
I'm doing real good. Yeah.
How things going with you guys? Jump in these comments. We so appreciate all the support we got in 2021. We want to take it to that next level in 2022. If you're not following us on Twitter, it's on the crawler below. If you're not following us on YouTube, please follow us, subscribe, and like. We're getting ready to talk sports from Atlanta point of view, and this is turning out to be a very Atlanta-ish 2 years. We can't win championships in all the sports, but we can talk about the ones that we competitive in and the ones we got some opportunity. What up, James? We can't wait to talk to you, brother. We got a lot to talk to when we get to that point of the show. So hold on, but we're going to talk about. We know you're a fellow Falcons fan as well. So let's just jump into it with the Falcons. They dropped a tough one. Hey, thank you. Ricardo was beefing with me about the hat.
I was.
So the Falcons took an unfortunate loss up in Buffalo. I thought that would be.
Gerald?
What up, Gerald? What up, Gerald? Gerald, we go jump into it. Come on, jump in those comments. We've been talking offline, online, all that stuff. So the Falcons took a tough loss, and what I thought, looking at the beginning of the season, and even now with what Buffalo had to play for, would be our toughest game of the season. Yeah. We were 14.5-point underdogs, and in the end, we did cover barely, but we played tough that whole game. Yeah. It came down to a controversy. It came down to two things. One, Kyle Pitts went out with a hamstring injury. Although shout out to Kyle Pitts, he broke the rookie record. And it was kind of important to me that he did it in 16 games because, with the 17th game, it's going to be a lot of records going forward that are going to be broken. I agree, James. We played tough. And Kyle was having a great game until he pulled up lame on his hamstring. He could never get back in there. And that really cost us the game.
So you had a hamstring, just like Julio.
I know. I was like, say anything, a broken kneecap, not another. You can't do this hamstring thing again.
Happy New Year, Mama Mia.
Hey, Mama Mia. Happy New Year. So, I mean, let's go down to the play that was the deciding play of the game. All right. So, a lot of fans don't know that in 2018 they made a new rule that if a player is sliding, not just foot first, but head first, that it goes back to where they started to slide. Right? Now, the head first part is hard because how do you determine the difference between a dive and a slide? And it's left up to the referee's judgment. And I just don't think that there's any way. So it has come up. What up, Joe? It's been 3 calls that I know of that have done this. Taylor Heineke was going in just like this, and the same thing happened. They called him down, and it was on 4th down for Taylor Heineke. The second one was in a Bears game. I think it might have been Justin Fields, or it might not have been, but it was in a Bears game. And then also, when the Chiefs and the Ravens played, they called it, hey, Bunky Bear. They called it on both Lamar and Patrick Holmes. And so, but the weird thing is, the rule doesn't say just quarterbacks, but they are only applying it to quarterbacks. And so there's no way in HE double hockey sticks that Matt was trying to slide or surrender. He was going for the end zone. He was untouched and he got into the end zone.
Hold on, quick point of note. So how about now? Mind you, I'm here in Chicago, so I don't have the game. So I'm seeing this on Red Zone. So I'm clicking on. Of course, it clicks on. You all know how Red Zone works. And the play happens. I'm like, yes, touchdown. And look, Matt talking some trash to the youngin. That's good. I like it. Yeah. So what happens in Red Zone? Yeah. Well, I saw to another game. I'm thinking, it's supposed to be 22, 29. What's going on? Maybe it's going to be, maybe he's talking trash. Maybe they did like something where on the onside or on the kick, they're going to add 5 yards penalty. I don't know. And I turned back, that thing said 29-15. I was so mad.
It was heartbreaking. And not to be a hypocrite, when Matt turned around and talked junk, I was like, yeah, let's go. But the fact that they called him short and then it made it 3rd and 16, then I was like, oh my gosh. Now, here's 2 things for sure. If Matt thought he was short, he wouldn't have turned around and talked junk.
Exactly.
But here's the other thing. If you're going to call him from sliding and a guy speared him, and that's an old term for you young bucks, they used to call that when you hit somebody in the helmet, in their back with your helmet, that's spearing. And that has been a penalty forever. That's not new. So if you're going to call that he was sliding, you got to call that he was speared and then make the penalties offset, and then it's 3rd and
to that point, brother. Sometimes as a ref, man, you got to just kind of say, "Hey, look, what are we doing?" You know what I'm saying? Like, sometimes I've done a little bit of little league ref, not no official, maybe a little, basketball. But my point is, as a ref, you got control over the game. Come on, man.
Yeah, I mean that was 2 calls. If you knew you were going to mark him short, you got to think hard about throwing that taunting penalty.
Exactly.
Because when Brady ran over there and cursed the Saints coach out, they didn't call a penalty. So that taunting penalty, the sliding rule penalty, I don't like. The taunting penalty, I hate.
Yeah.
I just don't. So it was like, yeah, I was like, that wasn't the wrong play for Matt to do. But I can't lie and say that when he did it, I wasn't like, yeah, because that was a cheap hit that should have been called. And so the only thing that I wish that Matt had turned to the referee, yelled at him, "You're not gonna call that spearing," and then turn to the guy, because the ref would have known he couldn't have called it. Because how do you not call that spearing?
Yeah.
You can't call that. The old term for it was spearing. Now they call it unnecessary roughness. That's just a cheap. That's been a cheap hit since the early 80s. So that kind of turned the game. In the big picture, don't cry in your beer, because we were eliminated from the playoffs when the Eagles won. And so all in all, to get to 7 wins and have a chance to get to 8 wins against the Saints, that's a more successful year than we thought. And for those of you who are worried about draft position, what I'll tell you is good GMs can find guys anywhere. Now, obviously, listen, we had our chance. We had a top 4 pick. We picked how we picked. Picks came out good. Nope, not going to cry over that spilled milk. But Surtain went number 10. Micah Parsons went number 11. Those are 2 of the most impactful guys in the thing. I agree, Paul. It would make me listen. I don't care about.
If we don't do nothing, listen to me.
We gotta win that game.
For me, and I'm one of the tankers. If there's 2 wins I want every year, it's the doggone swamp behind, stinking behind Saints. Can't stand them.
Yeah, and we'll and later in the week we'll get into the game. It's not so much about analysis; it's about the rivalry, right? Like they are struggling as a team as well. It was some huge performances. I agree. A couple of O linemen went later. A couple of D linemen that are making more impact than the guys that we have went later. So it was some it was some incredible performances and some crazy stuff happened. Joe Burrow.
Oh,
Joe Burrow. Hey, let me tell you something. All of you guys, listen. You got to come with a mea culpa. You got to listen. That young man is balling out for his hometown team. An Ohio boy playing in Cincinnati and balling out. Man, listen. I know Cleveland is like, we would trade seven Baker Mayfields
and Nick Chubb
for Joe Burrow is so calm under pressure. So calm under pressure that Jamar Chase, Gerald, we were arguing about that before we came on. Everybody was like, they got to get an offensive lineman to protect Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow's like, get me Jamar Chase and I'll protect Joe Burrow. Both of those guys, and the crazy thing about it is he's set a NFL record. Look at Kelly the Giants leader in sacks. He dropped. I was a big Ojulari fan. He started dropping because of the medicals on that knee. Yeah. But for me, I'm like, if I could get one contract out of that knee,
that's what I was thinking. I'm a Georgia boy.
Yeah,
for sure.
So, but Burrow balled out. Cal Pitts had a great. Let me tell you, who had a great year and a great day yesterday. Another Atlantan playing for the Falcons. AJ Terrell is the real thing.
Yeah.
So Diggs had a couple of completions on him early, and it was like, oh man, is this going to be a long day? For the day, he held him for 4 catches for 37 yards.
And speaking of Diggs, AJ's better than Diggs, brother.
So that's the double thing. Let me tell you something. This is how we have this short attention span and stats thing. Trayvon Diggs has the most interceptions that not just that this year, but for a long time. How do you get 11 interceptions in 1 year? Should they stop throwing at you? Actually, Trayvon Diggs has given up the most passing yards of any quarterback in the NFL. And so if you ask me what I want, Trayvon Diggs or AJ, I mean, he had an interception yesterday to go along with holding Diggs to 37 yards. He just is never lost in coverage. He's not interception hunting. And so, and one of the things that Gerald and I was talking about is we suffer.
We're now just throwing this out there. We're not throwing off hate towards your boy.
Yeah, we did a hell of a job in pass defense against Josh Allen. We couldn't tackle him for nothing, but we did. And so people are like, "Oh, let's get a cornerback, Sauce at number 10." And I like Sauce. He played well against.
You won me over.
But what I will tell you, with our hierarchy of needs, Moreau is not as bad as people think he is. He's like the 32nd best cornerback in the league, which sounds bad until you remember that it's only
2 at each position.
It's 2 at each position. Yeah. So I'm not saying he's great, but he's not a problem. You know what I'm saying? He's not. Let me put it like this: he's not as big a problem as the fact our pass rush is embarrassing yesterday. I mean, it was times where we literally were just stuck at the line. And that includes everybody, including y'all favorite. That includes everybody, including y'all favorite that y'all want to pay $25 million to. Y'all favorite. When you talk about the guy that was stuck at the line, looked like they were slow dragging to As We Lay at the 10th grade.
Stop. Okay, that's enough.
I was like,
that's enough.
Are they romantic? But let me tell you. Fowler's got to go, James. Fowler has got to go. Our pass rush is embarrassing. Like we literally. I mean, it's terrible. But that, to me, our pass rush is a much bigger problem than our cornerback. But to Gerald's point, I would rather trade down. Man, Means is a jag. And that's hopefully in this offseason, Pease and the front office can get on this same page, because Pease is extremely prejudiced to veterans and guys who played in his system before. Like, you're looking at the dude Means. How can't your starting defensive end or outside linebacker or edge or whatever you talk have 1 sack on the year? Like, that's unheard of. Like, you can't. Like, there's teams 7th string defensive tackle that had. We got a guy who has hundreds and hundreds of pass rush sacks, and he has 1 sack. But anyway, we're not gonna turn this into a draft show.
I know, yeah.
What I will say is, Arthur Smith did make some first year head coaching little hiccups, but I like that he didn't make the same mistakes again. And hold that thought, James, because I want to bring that up again. I think that I just think that we are on the right path, and you can see Pease's defense. The ideas about Pease's defenses are great, but if you compare what our biggest problem is between cornerback and edge, we just can't get any pressure to make any of that stuff work.
No,
like none.
No.
So hopefully we can get some guys through free agency, and we don't have any money, and that connects to bring James back up.
Yeah.
What are we going to do about the 40-something mil we owe Ryan next year? I'm going to let Ricardo kick in on this.
Well, you already know what
I don't want to turn this into a whole nother show, because we're going to have all off-season to talk about this.
Yeah.
But
you know
what I'll say briefly is we are the least prepared to we are the least prepared to move on from that of any team. Like, I know that teams are going to want Matt, but if we give up Matt, we in the chase for Bryce Young. So if they didn't want to pretend like we was rebuilding before, man, we literally don't have anybody that deserves to be taking snaps on our roster. Nobody.
Listen, I've made this clear, so I don't know what else y'all want me to say that's different. We need to suck. That's the way the NFL works. You cannot yay, we're going to get 8 wins. I think we're going to beat the Saints. Yay. I'm glad. I promise you I am. I'm a huge Falcons fan here. But what I am is into the bottom line. That's what Ricardo is. I'm not into the data. I don't have season tickets, so I don't care if we suck for a year. I want the big picture.
But those of us who do, we do care, Mr. Ricardo.
You bougie people get on my nerves anyway. I don't care what you think. Listen, for us fans that want us to win and win consistently, you need a quarterback. And the only guy that I see, I was sharing, one of the things that me and Jamie was arguing about before we got on just now was I said out of the top 10 quarterbacks, 5 of them are under the age of 25. You don't believe me? You want to go through them real quick? We got Patrick Mahomes. We got your boy that you just talking about, Burrow. You got your favorite from San Diego, the Chargers.
Yay, my man, Crutch, Herbert.
You know what I'm saying? And then what I'm noticing is they're all in the AFC. Have you guys noticed that?
Lamar Jackson.
Yeah, they're all in the AFC.
The NFC guys are
older guys.
Are older than the AFC guys.
Mm-hmm. So this is the perfect time to hey, if you're going to do it once. And you ain't got to worry about it for 10, 15 years. Can you imagine? I mean,
that brings up the point. Mm-hmm. The Eagles won yesterday.
Yep.
You ain't lying. Mm-hmm. You're right about that, Paul. Jalen Hurts.
We'll get to that, Joe.
Yeah, that's Joe. That's an off-season question. Yeah. The quicker answer to this question is I don't believe Calvin Ridley ever plays a game for the Falcons again. No. It's literally no way. But so that's my thought. So we got a couple of options, but one of the options we can never pay him.
No.
So But Jalen Hurts got the Eagles into the playoffs. Guess who their highest paid player is?
Wow.
Carson Wentz at $34 million.
Yeah.
So sometimes you got to rip that Band-Aid off. And so shout outs to Jalen Hurts. There was a lot of doubt of was he the right one? Was he not the right one? And
all those draft picks. They got Miami.
They got so many draft picks coming up in this draft. And so now you can look and say, man, we can remake this whole. They missed on Jalen Reagor. They drafted Jalen Reagor before Justin Jefferson. Eagles fans, you can't say the word Justin Jefferson around an Eagles fan without making them cry because they just drafted Justin Reagor in front of him. But they can make up for it. He is an extreme project, Gerald.
Yeah, no thanks.
If he drops far enough, I think you have to take him.
Yeah,
but
not first or second.
But if you take him, you got to keep Matt, because
you can't listen. Hold on. Just so we're clear, I want y'all to understand what I'm saying. Under no scenario can we afford to keep Matt next year. We can't do it.
Well,
no. Listen, if you want to try to win in the next couple of years, you can't keep Matt. I love Matt Ryan. Matt Ryan is the greatest Falcon ever. This is not about Matt Ryan. This is about the contract. That's all it is. Cut and drop. All right?
Yeah. And so you have a similar type player in Kellen Mond. Mm-hmm. I need more information.
I don't like the kid from Pitt.
I need more information, James, on Pitt. Chris, can Atlanta afford CP? I hope so, but let's not get out of control on the CP bandwagon. Mm-hmm. CP was our MVP because we don't have any skill position players, and at the time, our only skill position player was a baby rookie. Mm-hmm. Somebody on Twitter was like, that's a snub that CP didn't get to the Pro Bowl. And I was like, at what position? He's the 28th best running back. He's the 170 best wide receiver. Like, what position is CP in the Pro Bowl over? And so I appreciate CP. We gotta pay CP year to year. Because first of all, I don't believe in playing running backs in the first place. And when you look, he had some great games, but his actual role is more of a change-up back weapon that goes with this running back that we draft in the 3rd or 4th round, right? Mm-hmm. Like with a bell cow running back, so we can have a bell cow running back, keep Mike Davis. People were complaining about Mike Davis. Oh, we spent all that money on Mike Davis. Oh, what money? You must not know NFL contracts. We're not paying Mike Davis anything. They're like, we need to cut Mike Davis. Mike Davis is playing for free, brother, and he's good in the community.
We That Nation knows my convictions about where and how much money we should put in the running back position.
Oh, yeah.
Let me be clear. If we were going to, first of all, life isn't fair. Life is hard. All right? We're talking about millions of dollars. I don't want to hear. I understand. The truth is, running backs should have their own CBA. That's how bad it is. It's just, the truth is, a running back, their prime is that first contract. After that first contract.
Their prime is their senior year in college.
Well, no. Their prime is that first 4 years. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. They're not going to be, you ain't ever going to see too much of a running back who's been in the league 4 years and all of a sudden he got better in his 5th or 6th year. You know
man, the worst thing you can do is this thing where you sign somebody, they're over this guy. He coming to this team. Mm-hmm. In the modern times, it just doesn't happen. Mm-hmm. And so, it's a similar to Jalen Hurts situation in
I like Paul Cox, boy. I like Paul Cox.
I love
Paul Cox. You 2 tonight.
Listen, we talk about it all the time. James Cook is going to make somebody extremely happy. They're going to be like,
Alvin Kamara. That's Alvin Kamara. Part 2 right now.
Yeah, I agree. Mm-hmm. And especially if you use them the way Alvin Kamara should be used, which needs to be talked about. Yeah. Alvin Kamara is not Nick Chubb and not Jonathan Taylor.
Mm-hmm.
He has a unique set of skills. That ain't it. It's not Derrick Henry.
Derrick was all right, but I don't know about no drafting 2 running backs.
No.
Half one.
Yeah, because we have between CP and Mike Davis as our short yardage back, and then we good. We just need one who can make some of these runs, because them dudes. Listen, it's some holes they miss. It's some holes they miss. Yeah. They just don't have the quickness to get through. But like I was saying, there's a Jalen Hurts-like situation happening in a power struggle in Minnesota with Kellen Mond. They looked horrible last night. The game was hard to watch. Yep. And it was like, are they going to bring him in at halftime? They didn't bring him. They let Mannion play every snap of a game. They scored 3 points. And so the reporter asked him after the game. They said, hey, with you no longer in the playoffs, would you like to see Kellen Mond next week, since this game doesn't matter and Cousins might not have cleared the COVID protocol? He was like, not particularly. They're like, why? I see him every day at practice. That he wasn't talking to that young man. He was talking to his GM. And I think his days are done there. And I love Mike Zimmer. And I mean, if we didn't have Pease, I would love to grab him on the staff.
Oh yeah,
but
I was kind of hoping that we didn't have a shot. See, I actually think they're done with Zimmer too. I thought that. I said, oh, the thing is, they've lost 4 or 5 games. And I thought, man, they should have had that.
Yeah, they've lost some heartbreakers, and for a defensive coach, they've all been opposing teams driving down at the end of the game, and that's just hard to lose, because it's not like 1 or 2 games. That's normal. They've lost like 5 games like that. They were deep in the playoff hunt, pretty tough. So now that the season has played out, not all the games next week are going to count. Let's go over the playoff picture for people who are confused real quick. What's at stake next week, and then we're going to go over the NFL awards. We had a show earlier in the season, and I want to hear 3 things: who you predicted before the season, who you think is going to win, and then who's actually going to win. So we're going to ask who you. And you guys jump in too when we get to that segment. So we don't need who you thought before the season, but you tell me who you think is going to win the major awards and who should win the major awards. So you just start formulating that up and put it in the comments, and we'll talk about that. So in the NFC, it's 2 teams competing for 1 spot. You got the 49ers who play in the Rams, and so the 49ers are playing the Rams. 2 things happen. Trey Lance played, and if you watch the game, he didn't play all that great. So it's really going to be the matter of, can Jimmy Garoppolo come back? Because the Rams are his team. He is undefeated against the Rams. If he plays, they beat the Rams. And so the Rams.
What's Garoppolo's injury thing? What is it?
It's a thumb.
Okay, so he just can't. He gonna have problems gripping the ball. Or what's the deal with him?
Yeah, he's gonna have. You played a little bit of quarterback. You can't do it. You can't do it. So
most likely to get trucked by a punter.
So most missed tackles, most missed sacks ever. So that game is going to mean a lot to the Rams, because the Rams win and loss is going to be the difference between winning the division and getting a home game, or lose. If they lose and the Cardinals win, the Cardinals get the number 2 seed. So it's really there's a lot in play in that game. So that's one game. The other game is us against the Saints. So if San Francisco wins, they're in.
Yeah.
If San Francisco loses and the Saints win, then the Saints are in. We can't have that. We can't have that, right?
Cannot.
So that's the AFC, the NFC. The AFC, it is a lot up to grab. It is a lot up for grabs. It's a lot. So right now, the Titans are number 1 and the Chiefs are number 2 with the same record. So both of those teams have something to play for. The Bengals are number 3, but the Bills are number 4 with the same record. So both of those teams have a lot to play for. The Patriots, so all those teams are in the hunt. The Colts and the Chargers are not quite clinched, right? So that their games mean a lot. And then the Raiders, Ravens, and Steelers. The Steelers game tonight is going to. The Steelers are that tie hurts them, in this playoff push. But the Ravens, when you talk about one of the dangers of having a mobile quarterback is they're gonna miss some games.
Mm-hmm.
And between the COVID precautions and his ankle injury, Lamar, this has been a lost season for Lamar. And so, but I think they would be dangerous. They would be dangerous in that the Titans been saving Julio for 2020.
You've been watching.
Yeah.
Julio's been playing.
So I think there's a lot of cool stuff going on. All right. So let's run these awards.
All right.
All right, Ricardo. Let's start off with Offensive Rookie of the Year.
Ooh, Offensive Rookie of the Year. Help me out. Who you got?
On offense, I would say it's Mac Jones.
Oh, I guess we can't go wrong with that. I mean, who else?
But it was Mac Jones, but Jamar Chase is on a Jamar Chase might have passed him as Jalen Waddle. You see those Bama fans coming out.
No, he's right.
I'm getting ready. I always like Waddle the best out of all those guys. Now, despite the fact that he's like 33.
Stop it. He's not 33.
Hey man, the man is in his
Waddle.
Jamar
Chase. Yeah, even he said.
But Waddle's season has gone under the radar because of Jamar Chase, because Waddle has had a great year.
All of them before last.
So Offensive Rookie of the Year is not the same as Offensive MVP. If it was Offensive MVP, it would be Mac Jones. But Rookie of the Year,
I see why you say that.
I think that's what I have. What do you think?
Well, no, I can co-sign that because good night. And a lot of that stuff for me is going to be prisoner of the moment because, man, how can I ignore the fact that the Patriots scored 50 yesterday? 50 points. Let me tell you something about Bill Belichick. I don't ever remember scoring the Patriots scoring 50. I think maybe a couple times when they had Randy Moss. But if they did it under Bill Belichick with a rookie quarterback, he was trying to say something to somebody. There's some stuff going on. Yeah. I definitely agree with you as far as difference between MVP and Player of the Year. The offensive MVP has to be Jamar Chase. That boy is ridiculous.
For the Rookie of the Year. So what about Defensive Rookie of the Year? This will be the shortest conversation we have.
I'll tell you right now, it's AJ Terrell for me.
Defensive Rookie of the
Year. Micah Parsons. I'm sorry, Micah Parsons.
Yeah. I mean, Micah Parsons should get several votes for Defensive Player of the Year.
Yes.
I mean, that's not even close. Mm-hmm. All right, so let's go to Defensive Player of the Year. I think this one is going to be a little bit close. I think TJ Watt missing so many games because of injury at the end, that kind of undermined his candidacy. Who you got for Defensive
I actually
Player
have Micah Parsons as my Defensive Player of the Year. I thought he did the most with the least. I don't think he has a lot of help. We talked about the Dallas Cowboys defense as the reason why to their detriment, the reason why they suck. And he actually had some decent periods because of that cornerback, and mainly because of number 11 jumped off the screen. And I'm not a Cowboy.
Ricardo, I'm gonna tell you something that you can't unhear.
All right.
No defensive player has ever had as many tackles as he had, getting 13 points, 13 sacks. Let me say that again.
I don't know.
Not no rookie. not no except for LT, not no except for Reggie White, not no except for Arn, not in the history of the NFL. No. I mean, he is a complete player, so I'm not going to beat that dead horse. But I have him. I really have him number 2 as my defensive player of the year.
Who's your number 1?
Myles Garrett. Myles Garrett has balled out, and as a defensive player, we can't penalize him for the Browns' underperformance the way we can penalize the quarterback. But Myles Garrett has had the most consistently dominant year. I thought at one point he would challenge the record, but he doesn't have as much pass rush help as you would think.
Mm-hmm.
So then that goes to offensive player of the year before we get to MVP.
Well, I'm going to tell you right now, almost always the offensive player of the year is the MVP. So,
no, they typically have been splitting it. You know what I'm saying?
Let me go ahead and just tell you right now who my offensive player of the year is. It's actually Cooper Kupp. And everybody who has fantasy knows why I say that. It's not even fair. Cooper Kupp.
I mean, I love to disagree with you.
Yeah.
I can't.
Think about it, man.
I get frustrated because I'm a football historian.
Yeah.
And so with yesterday, the 16th game, you can really compare him against the other guys that he was competing with. Mm-hmm. I don't think he had the year that I think the greatest wide receiver year was the Calvin Johnson year.
Oh yeah.
The second greatest year was the Jerry Rice year, and the third greatest year was the Julio year, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so now Jerry Rice is by far the GOAT because Jerry Rice has like 6 of the other top 10s, but those 3 will never, and hold that because
I know we get into that, James. Come on.
No, because I want to hear from you. So those are the 3 best receiver year. Number 4 in NFL history is this year that we're watching right now. Mm-hmm. And so I always tell people, don't be in the middle of something and not appreciate it. Because as a Dominique fan, I was in the middle of the Jordan thing and I didn't appreciate it because I hated Jordan so much. Yeah. Right? Yeah. But then the same thing with Larry Bird. I hated Larry Bird until I started being able to appreciate it. Yeah. Like, I need to enjoy.
And take notes, use LeBron haters. Let that go.
Oh yeah. No, that I mean, it's true. Like all that. Is he better than Michael Jordan? Appreciate what you're watching, man. Appreciate what you're watching. So I would say offense. I hate when we agree. I agree. I hate when we agree. Yeah, Cooper Kupp to me is getting overlooked. He's having the 4th best wide receiver year ever. He deserves it. I think a close second is Jonathan Taylor.
Yeah, that would be my other pick. See, if you're playing fantasy football, you already know this. It's going to be.
But I will say, so for MVP.
Oh,
for MVP.
Now, James spilled the beans. James spilled the beans. For me,
go ahead and bring James' comment up.
Yeah, for me it is Aaron. For me,
I have to agree with James, but it's closer than you think because the Bucks are sorrier than you think. It's closer than you think because the Bucks are sorrier than you think.
All right, let's hear this.
The Bucks have no running game. You know
about that.
Tom Brady is on pace to set the all-time NFL record for pass attempts. That happens when you don't have a running game. He's been missing different receivers for big swaths of the year. And I'm not saying he doesn't deserve it, but I'm saying when you talk about MVP, Aaron Rodgers has had the better year, and he is important to the team. I am absolutely convinced that if you take Tom Brady off of the Bucks, they got the same record as the Falcons. They are not very good. They are not a very good team.
I hate it.
And the defense carried them, and having a calm guy like Tom, you go to win this championship, you're gonna have to kill the king. Like, don't Don't be well. We hope somebody else beat Brady for us. If you want to win that championship, you're gonna have to beat Brady for yourself. Because if you don't beat Brady, he gonna beat the next person.
Well, he went up there last year.
He did. He had no business winning that. And to be honest, he didn't play that well. He had 3 interceptions in that game.
He didn't play great either game. He didn't play great against the Saints or Green Bay last year.
In both games, what he had in common, that when he needed to do it, he did it.
He did.
So I just don't want people to sweep. I know we hate Tom Brady. But then the same thing with Drew Brees. You gotta appreciate the greatness. All
right, now that's too much.
Yeah. But I will say, that's who my MVP is. Looking forward to your comments. Just jump in the comments. Fantasy football. This week was the championship with the extra week. How did you guys do? Get in the comments, Ricardo.
Well, I wanted to
Pharrell, Wesley, Joe, everybody jump in. Tell me how you did in fantasy.
Well, I did. I'm actually in the championship right now for both of them, both my leagues. So one looks like I'm going to win, and the other one, I'm going to need a lot of help. Deontay's going to have to go off for me. I wanted to make sure we have enough time to talk about our Bulldogs a little bit.
Oh, we are.
Okay.
We get ready to jump right in it, but I just wanted to, this is bringing to the end of season and stuff like that, and just kind of wrapping it up with the awards. I don't think next week has any impact on the awards. So jump in with your fantasy. I'm losing in a 2-week game and losing by 20. I might jump back in next year.
Yeah, well, you go ahead and get that work. Get that work put on you just like everybody else.
As Ricardo alluded to, the bowl season came to an end. College football playoffs. For those of us who want them to expand against knuckleheads like Ricardo, that's something we don't agree on. But this week wasn't a good argument for it. Both of the SEC teams beat the brakes off of their opponents, and in the second half, just basically played 4-minute offense the whole second half of both games. Neither game was particularly competitive physically or defense wise. Very impressed with the game plan and Stetson Bennett's performance. And we're gonna have plenty of time on our next show to talk all about it. That's kind of Ricardo why I was like, let's wrap up the NFL. But the two I said before the SEC championship, and in a way, I'm gonna tell you this, and my dog fans are gonna get on me, and they're gonna say because my best friend and I'm in Alabama chat group that's getting to me. I said before the SEC championships, you can go back and look at the show. Alabama and Georgia are the best two teams in college football by far. And even if Georgia had to beat Alabama, Alabama would have been the still the second best team. So Wesley didn't make it in 2 leagues, other 3 still playing for first place. So I mean, I was impressed. What did you think about the Bama performance first, and then the Georgia?
You're gonna have me talk about Bama, huh? All right. Well, Bama did what Bama does. I wanted to give a shout out to Cincinnati. I was very impressed. Those defensive backs were everything that I had been told that they were. And I thought they played their butts off. The problem is, what we learned, what we SEC fans already knew, that for whatever all the dressing that you have on the outside, you win in the lines of scrimmage. And Bama and Georgia are just a different level. The problem is what you're seeing is the talent that we have, the talent that Bama has is if you let Will Anderson win, then if you let the defensive tackles win, then their linebackers are just going to eat. And then their safeties and their cornerbacks, they don't have to work for 3 seconds. You know what I'm saying? That's a tough ask. I thought Cincinnati, actually, they won a lot of respect from me. I said, man, you know what? They are the 3rd or 4th best team in the country.
They absolutely deserve to be there. They absolutely deserved to be there. It wasn't any of that. Oh, they did this. Who could have played Bama tougher than Cincinnati? Who? You know, all these people.
I would love to hear. Did somebody say that in the comments?
That's just BS. And so I think what the difference is the athletes in the trenches. Mm-hmm. So the athletes. So like when we talk about athletes, people are talking about, oh, I want to see Sauce Gardner against Jamison Williams, which that was a good matchup. But our guys, our 300-pound guys are as fast as their linebackers.
Let me expound on that a little bit. Let me just share something, because I always get this because I live here in Chicago, the Midwest. People always hating it. I lived in LA for a long time, and people would always, oh, we got fast guys too. Let me explain the difference super quick to what Jamie just said. Our 300-pounders are different than your 300-pounders. Yeah. That's the difference. Yes, you have guys who are super fast cornerback. Man, I see some kids in California that are just, Florida, Texas, all the same. Ohio, Pennsylvania, God bless you. But the difference is what these southern Georgia, Texas, North Florida, Mississippi, dirty dog. Man, that 300-pounder kid can dunk a basketball going straight up. You don't see that up here in Ohio, in Chicago. You just don't see that. And it's just a different type of element. If you don't really have an understanding of what I'm saying, just watch the Indianapolis when they have the what you call it, Indianapolis.
The combine?
Yeah, the top, yeah. And then watch your favorite team. Go look at how many kids are from Alabama or from South Carolina or from Louisiana, from the state of Georgia. It's just a little different. That's the difference. You know what I'm saying? I get it. Y'all got fast guys too. But our big kids can just do things that y'all.
Yeah, I mean, like there's nobody on Cincinnati, Michigan, Ohio State for that matter.
Is there no Trayvon Walker's up there?
Or Oklahoma, who's as athletic as Trayvon Walker.
6'3", 290 pounds.
Or Will Anderson. I thought Mathis dominated that game as well for Alabama. I would have, if I was voting, I would have voted Mathis the MVP, because he literally was like, well, I don't know what y'all was planning to do, but if it was run, I mean, he dominated them both from a pass rusher and a run stopping position. And speaking of dominance, those Michigan guys, I know they're proud, and I know they're glad they made it there. But for their draft stock, playing Georgia wasn't. That wasn't the best thing, because everybody was talking about. You know, we knew Sawyer was good, right? But
I remember what I said a couple years before we did the show. I said that's the best guard. That'll be the best guard in the country. Now he ended up being a tackle.
I'm just not sure if he's a guard though.
Oh no. Sometimes, let me tell you, because you're seeing it with the other kid at the Giants now.
Andrew Thomas.
Andrew Thomas. Same school, same program, same. Listen, they're just building him different at Pace Academy, man. If you get an offensive line from Pace Academy, you did a good job. I don't remember.
I mean, so we knew Sawyer was good. We knew Sawyer was good, but and he dominated Hutchins. I saw some people talking about chips and tight ends. I was like, you better go back and watch that game again.
Yeah,
you better watch that game again. That
the other guy. What was the other guy name? I didn't even hear his name. Did you know he had no stats?
Ojabo. I was like, let's trade back and get Ojabo. He's more of a project than I thought, because Warren McClendon whooped his you-know-what. I mean, like, he was never in the backfield. Like, he couldn't make it past the line of scrimmage. He got physically dominated against the run. So, that line played their butts off.
Yeah.
And
how much money would you guess that he made last?
Jamari Sawyer, I think that he was projected as a second-round pick. I don't see him getting out of the first round now.
I don't see him getting out.
Because if you draft him, you know he can play right tackle. You know he can play either guard. And he might, if you don't have a left tackle already, I might start him off and say, hey, let's see who can win between y'all two. Mm-hmm. I would love to. I had this secret crush to get Jamari. We're not going to be able to get him. He's not going to be there available.
That's not the verbiage term I would use, but I get your point, sir.
I mean, I get draft crushes on guys all the time. I'm like, that's my guy. Like, I feel like I identify him, and Rashawn Slater was my guy, was one of my guys last year. You remember because we were talking.
Yeah.
Hey, what's going on, BS3?
What's going on?
Rashawn Slater was my guy last year because they were like, well, he might be a better guard. And I'm like, why? Just because they're not 6'7" and 370 doesn't mean they got to kick in the guard.
Yep.
Rashawn Slater, if it wasn't for those other two guys, he would be my offensive player of the year.
And I'll tell you another thing. Who else made a lot of money? James Cook. I'm going to tell you something. I don't know if we've mentioned it already, but
we talked about it on this show.
Okay, we did. Okay. I think that y'all know my rule. Don't draft the running back in the first. Do not draft the running back in the second. I'd spend a high third-round pick for this guy myself. I would love.
I actually don't have a problem with drafting a running back in the second. And I actually don't have a problem with drafting a running back in the back of the first. Like, I just, because that doesn't affect your pay scale as much as the Saquon thing. I think Saquon is going to be available. I think Saquon is going to be available. But again, we're not going to make this into a draft show.
Yeah.
I think that Georgia did what they had to do, and Alabama did what they had to do. Both of them did great. And so, but I want to bring back up James Priest's conversation because he's a true Bama fan. He watches them.
We have a few Bama fans on here. God bless every one of them.
And so, I think the way we feel about Florida is not the way we feel about Bama, right? Like, it's like because we don't play as much, right? So, and for anybody to say they have a rivalry with Alabama besides Auburn, they're lying to themselves because the record just doesn't look right, if you want to call it a rivalry. It would be more an aspirational rival. But James Priest brings up the point that I hate that we lost to Bama.
Yeah.
But if I had to pick which one I would rather be between us and Bama, us being UGA and Bama, I would slightly lean to UGA because James Priest says it. We are in for a good one next week. I agree. What sucks for Bama is that what do we change for the second game? You can't go with what worked because you know going against Kirby is not going to work again. And I agree with that. And the same thing with Georgia. Georgia automatically has to change stuff up because they lost. But Bama is going to be like, well, those overs worked. How do you say we had all those overs wide open? Let's not do those overs. You know what I'm saying? Like, they killed us on overs. They killed us on – I thought the communication was bad. I think two things that I saw as a Georgia fan, I don't think Jalen Carter was back from the flu all the way. Nolan Smith definitely played better and looked more comfortable with that elbow. Yeah. And Chris Smith, before he got the targeting penalty, was looking much better. He did not look good because, he's the deep safety, and he did a great job of playing that deep half all year, but guys were getting behind him, and he was getting – and he's no speed demon. He's no speed demon, but he's a cerebral guy. And so Dan Jackson had to play too many snaps because he wasn't 100%. So that might help. But we got all Thursday, so I want you guys to really – I welcome Bama fans to our chat. I welcome.
We want more of them.
Of Auburn. We want people because we're not. This is not we that UGA. This is we that from Atlanta, Georgia. We love all things Georgia. I don't hate Georgia Tech. I wish Georgia State. I was happy when Georgia State won their bowl. Georgia, Kennesaw State,
Georgia Southern,
Savannah State, Albany State, Morehouse. I want all of them to win. Fort Valley State. So we know that a lot of Alabama alumni live in Atlanta. We know all the Auburn alumni live in Atlanta. and we know a lot of Florida and a bunch of South Carolina and a bunch of Clemson people live here. Mm-hmm. So we can talk about all of them, and it's great to get points of view other than your own, because that's the worst shows when you're just Homer like, oh, Stetson Bennett. I think Zeus go rush for 178 yards, and then Bennett go throw for 500 yards, and Jordan Pickens gonna have 4 catches for 700 yards. I'm gonna hang up and listen. No. I think that Bama is the standard. If you don't think Bama is the standard, I don't know what sport you're watching.
Listen, I'm not in the honeymoon period with Bama, but I know who they are. We can't argue this anymore. The Miami program, what they did in the 80s was amazing.
Amazing.
I remember watching Oklahoma and just rooting for them because I just never seen an option offense doing what they did.
I love Tommy Frazier with the
Nebraska had their period, but the greatest dynasty in the history of college football. It's not arguable.
You're in the middle of it again.
It's not arguable
and enjoy it. Yeah. Don't be like Bama's cheating it. Listen, enjoy it. That's what would make a victory over this juggernaut even more sweeter.
And trust me, if God allowed us to beat him, because I am much more humble than I was last time we played. They're gonna be back. I mean, good night.
They got
Georgia and Alabama
is coming back.
The one thing that I didn't really get to emphasize on is not just what our recruiting. Recruiting is everything. But recruiting ain't just recruiting high school kids. Recruiting is every year. These kids that are
these two programs are so far ahead of the other programs, except for Texas A&M. Texas A&M.
Oh no, Texas A&M is coming.
But they got again, oil money. Georgia, and Alabama have a 5-year, so they have 5 years of these number one guys.
Yeah,
I heard a stat during the game. Mm-hmm. Every recruiting class since Nick Saban has been there has gotten a national championship.
Everyone. He's had a top 5
they've won every championship, but sometime in before you graduate, if you stick around, you'll get the championship. You got to admire that, and we hope to be that.
He's had a top 5 recruiting class every year since he's been in Alabama for 12 years. For the last 12 years. Can you imagine that? That's crazy. Well, listen.
That's crazy. So we're gonna have a lot. I want you to build up all the stuff you want to say. I know the tension is there. As a Georgia fan, we're like, oh man, after watching ourselves getting punched in the mouth and not recovering, we're talking about what we hope goes different. I want to hear from Bama fans what they think might happen different. We want from Clemson fans, from Michigan fans, any fans, come on in and talk to us, because we're talking all sports from Atlanta point of view, not Atlanta sports from Atlanta point of view.
Thank you guys so much for joining us once again. For Professor and myself, we love each and every one of you. If you like what you're hearing, give us a subscribe and share.
Please like and subscribe.
Peace up. A-Town down.